I had something in mind. I was like, hey, why don't we make, you know, I was, me, I was interested in maps. So I was like, hey, why don't we make a map? And what else to make a map than Worldbox Sandbox? So today we will make Worldbox Sandbox. Jim does love chickens, but today we will make the blend of saulia. Wait, oh god. Wait, no. I had to pause the time and get the tools. Deep oceans. I don't want anything here. If I see land, I'm going to destroy land. Okay, there is land here, we're going to destroy. Now, let's get to focusing. We have a big chunk of land to work on. So to do, we will do this small land. And no, we need a bigger cube. No, we need this. Yes, we need this. So this will be the sol land of solia. So we are going to do this. We're going to make this boundary, and then to this extent, probably over here. Okay, this will be this land. Connect these areas, and we're going to make a massive island over like here. So we are going to fill this up. Right, we're going to fill this up. Boom, bam, bam, bam. And since we are based on like, we will try to make this a logical place, so don't worry. I am a professional builder and I don't know what to do. Trust me, you're going to like it very, very much. So we're going to fill this island up as well. Now that's done. I think we need to lower the land quantity over here because this looks simply too optimistic and just too forgiving. So we will remove this land. Now we are going to need mountains, small mountains. These mountains are not well connected but are connected, so it's fine. Then we are going to put some hills, like random hills. Yes, totally like that. Now we are going to put like biomes. Most probably we're going to put grassland biomes because these biomes are the best biomes. And this, let's say some areas will be covered by swamp, while most will be covered by grasslands. Yes, this will be grasslands, like the coastal areas. And then deep jungle seeds. I think we should increase the swamp quantity as well. Swamps and jungles. Most important, we have to do some laws. So like, yeah, not overgrowing. We're going to remove other disasters, but put natural disasters and this growing. For now, we will put diplomacy and this aside, but for your sake, I will just hold the video and get some timers because I want to quickly expand the kingdom of Solia. But let's ignore that for now, but not for now. We will put trees and forests all around the bucket lands. Saulia. If you are one of the members, if you subscribe, I will try to include you in our videos as well. So make sure to like and subscribe. So we've grown plants, we're going to grow bushes. So give me a moment, okay? I will just do something very real. Well, we are back. Now, if we on pause, we will let civilization grow. The year was year 2, February. Now, February was the thing where there were mobs. But yes, we have to change our summer, night, wall. No, not this, not this. Winter, ash, and despair. Yes, we will keep these worlds. Now, the first civilians of Sol land. This was Saulia, after all. The first citizens were probably spotted. First, many citizens were spread across Soland. There were many nations. There were many tribes. There were many monkeys and tribes in the area which we did not know existed. As we were the creators of Solandia, we don't know if they're even alive or not. So, there were many organizations, cities, states, and governments. There are many kingdoms in the Northlands. There are many nations which had risen up. But the nation, there were main nations of the continents. There are many holy lands, such as the Holy See, Ke, Dr. Temon, Uf, and Alipur. Many coastal nations will progress themselves. There are many monkeys in the region. We did not know, but just roaming like they were literal goobers. They will be integrated in various empires. So we will put the timer to 5 and see what happens. Many things were happening. So everything was totally fine. It was year 6 and the empires were expanding. But there was one major power between all of them. The realm of the An. Wait, the realm of Saulia was one of the major nations. And with the overk of the sun, the overk of the insurgents, the island of mainland Jastrava was in danger. The main island of Elba. The kingdom of Elba was the strongest in the northern islands. The Se, more like the Imperial Federation, was strong. And since we have many of our YouTube allies here as well, there was an influential area, the Kiwi military junta. The Kiwi military junta also existed, but the realm of Solia was the main, and the Uvuk of the insurgents were one such threat to the society. As year 8 dawned around, the nations flourished. Many nations are there, many nations are coming, many nations are going. The kingdom of Saudia was the well developed nations around the world. We were united by the plan was our alliance, and the Kiwi military junta was junta. The junta was the ferocity, and the Elbe were just liberals. But the Imperial Federation was colonializing. They were a colonial power. There was the Uvo Empire and the Uvo Court. This was causing problems between us. As Saulia was under Saul the Great, who was the best person to ever exist. The doctor of the moon. Well, let's just pause and look at the countries the dukedoms which existed. The realm of Soria, Elba, the Doggett of the Moon, were the first nations to have actually an army to be called competent. And the Elbers, which are already in conflict, the Holy Keith and the Uvik of the insurgents were just. But we needed the reason to expand ourselves. So the realm of Solia tried to take Bali. This invasion would go better as expected. But in the world, there are rebellions which can occur. As me, myself was just going there. We took Bari and became one of the strongest enemy countries of the region. The Elbe and the Arab will fight, but we don't know for sure. The Kiwi military junta had also expanded. The Uvuk had also built their own armies, and they were going to do their first move. The Uvuk will fight against the Vla, but the Uvuk will suffer the most. But it's sheer coincidence they will be resummoned and have an army, which will be a great one. As Yala was the strongest nation of them all, Yalak was destroyed. The League, the Kiwi military junta, seeing all of this, but something was going to happen, and it was happening. We reduced our time to 3. The target of the moon had declared war on the Elbe. The reclamation wars had begun. The Uvuk was suffering largely. The Uvuk could not resist. They were taken over by the Elbe. The Imperial Federation and Elba were starting to form their alliance. The year was 19, and we, the Kingdom of Solia, were planning something which was unethical. The Alud, wait, the Alud were planning a war against the Uru. Wait, who is Alu? Oh, he belongs to the Kiwi military junta. And he was also planning a war against the KMJ. But in numerical terms, the Kiwi military junta outlasted them. But something was happening. The two nations were planning an alliance, the Imperial Federation and Elba. If they manage to march, it will cost something they will never expect. Wait, but what were we planning? What was the Kingdom of Solia planning? We had to know. Saul was planning to fight against the evil of the insurgents, which had the larger army, 28, and we had 28. So It will be ethical to be fighting against such a foe who had a larger population than us, right? We could have gone for Keith. They had less armies. The Leak and the are also in their own method to battle. Let's see how the event turns out. The Kiwi junta attacked the Uber. The battle was looking in the favor of the. Let's see the military stats. The Kiwi junta had 12 armies. Now this was looking good, and the Saulias attacked the Uruk of the regions. And this was year 20. Wait, I should just save this. Hmm. There's skulls of greatness. Well, I'm going to save this now. There was something else happening in the world at this time. Ajay of Ajay from the Earth was planning a war against the League, even though they were the natives of the islands. And Atipun was planning a war against the So the League and the Atipuns will be in alliance. Pika of you was killed by Opa of the Kiwi junta. But do we care? We want consent. The armies of the Batai had died. It was sad. The whole nation mourned. Yugato, more like Saul II, will take the throne. Then, shocking news will arrive. Assis of the Keith were planning a battle against us, and our armies were collapsing, and we could not even rise up. We used something called as mass reproduction to increase the stats of our army. A new alliance, known as the X of the People, were also formed. Let's just see. But this alliance will be named the Entente. Even though the the Elbers were liberalists, and the Imperial Federation being a colonialist power, it was unlikely. But Solia was losing its army. Even the League, even the Kid were big better than us. We did something called as every citizen fights till the last man. The Uva was destroyed by the junta, but we did not give up. Dear Gracias, the Solin Empire will rise up. We will fight as we were not able to capture the capital of the enemy. Our armies marched in the Koshak region. The insurgents were shattered. Now we will march. But suddenly, diplomacy broke down. As the Uruk of the insurgencies managed to live, but our Sonian capital was in siege. We dragged all of our armies to fight our citizens. We'll raise our shields against them. The Uru managed to destroy the Atitos. Surprising that the Entente was still around at this point. It will be up to three great nations. In one island, three great nations on the other island. and the Entente, which was just watching when they will strike. Bucketland and Sector 2. Let's see what happens. The Solian army was completely shattered. We had no real force to fight the enemy. We did something called as God's influence, and managed our leader. We had to do something. Solia was in crisis, and the enemy was unforgiving. But the War of Iron soon ended, as we managed to do peace with the enemies. As some of our leaders were going towards the Elbe, which was quite surprising. The Kid had 19 soldiers, we had 18, and we were 21 minutes, which was quite surprising. So we increased our time. Now we wait for some major event to happen. The Kiwi junta are planning a war against the League. The Shield, which was known as the Eastern Central Powers, was forming. The Entente was clearly scared of their presence. The Uvuk of the insurgents, still angry of being kicked out of their capital, was a one thing. When this was controversial, the alliance was cancelled. The League had 15 people, but a miracle happened for the Leagues. The U declared war against the KMJ, even though they were not allies. The war was looking against the Kiwi junta, as the small league was doing great damage towards them. And for this, the Entente, more like the Imperial Federation, was planning a war against us. The Entente had 61 soldiers, while the Central Powers had 60. The Uvuk was just not others doing their work. But the war had to be stopped. The bad war of the Kiwi junta ended, as the Kiwi junta and the League were planning an alliance, and and the king was planning a war against the Uruk of the insurgents. The KMJ and the League were planning to form an alliance after the Ur were forced to remove the alliance. Looks like the island will be reunified. The Central Powers and the Entente were holding themselves. The war had begun, and the Entente was fighting here because there were citizens over here. Then the acts of the people, more like the Comintern, the southern frontier, which was greater than the U. We were looking at a bad condition because the Central Powers had lost four. The realm of Saulia was losing against very bad. We were faring badly. Even though we had a great army, we suffered massive losses in terms of civilian population. We had 48 soldiers, 38 and 20, 58. Was nothing goes bad. Let's see what happens. Let's look at the conflicts in the history. We lost 25, they lost 4. This conflict has been going on since 2 nations. 2 years. Since none. Since everyone was doing transport ships. And we didn't. There was nothing else. Then, the U was trying to join the southern front. Looks like the Saulians will have a good tough a time. The Entente, the Central Powers, were not looking good. But something happened in the name of God, and then the imperialists were given an opportunity to expand the lands. As for some reason, a huge swath of land grew, and an invasion force was landing in Solia. We were quite surprised they even managed to do an invasion, as New Ulster was in siege, and the Ulster garrison had 20 soldiers. Bucketland had 20, and Novosibirsk had 16. We had to call in our garrisons and defend our homelands against the tyrant. A new shocking news was heard. The Kiwi junta was planning against the U. That means the League, which were wanting to have more land, will get the land. We managed to hold. The League was destroyed. Melun was taken. Sad news. The southern frontier was destroyed. We were not doing good. The Kiwi military junta was going to take the southern islands and proclaim themselves to be superior, as they had 22 soldiers. Even the whole of Solia was having 28 population. But sadly, oof, will not hold. They will fight for years and years. Sadly, the oof will grow population and fight. This battle will be costly, as the oof will take one of the provinces which was lost, growing the situation against their favor. So the KMJ and the Great War ended. Looks like the kid, along with the military pride, 102 casualties. It was us who was getting the last most dead after all. The enemies had better quality. The U and the Kili Mentor junta were planning an alliance. These schools changed the tide of the Great War. Against us or with us. There were only few nations in the world. And the Imperial Federation could only do was summon legions after legions after legions and die. The unity of the Enchanted was made as the battle ended. The SLF, or the Southern Liberation Front, was formed. This school changed the tide of the war, as only the insurgents who were just now the rebel junta were the only non-aligned nations. But something drastic will change. The course of the double nation alliance. A sudden change of land was formed. This land was enchanted. Some thought it was the land of God itself, as the rich land was highly productive. The holy pure. The colonialists had taken over Saulia, and they had taken over one of the important cities for Saul's infrastructure, New Ulster. At Bucketland and Novosibirsk made their plans to retake the city immediately. The Southern Liberation Front was renewed, and the tide of the Great War was changing against Saulia. But something changed. As the enemies of the junta saw, they declared war against the Great Federation, bringing them in the Great War. This changed the tides quickly, as nobody expected the rebels, which are against the Saulians and the Aifles. Wait, what was the state? Yes, the Kid. They were against them both for taking over the Ulster, but now it was with them to take over the island. As all of the armies were in here, the junta, the Holy Desert, which was a new land, the empires which had just formed recently in the Holy Land, The Great War was shifting in their favor. As 246 to 182, the Bucket Imperial lost more men. A naval invasion by the Saulian armies was also there, so this increased the tally more. Holy hell! The ground shook as the bubbles carried everyone with them. They were shielded. The ground shook as the holy bishop, the great eunuch, was here. The realm of Solia was okay. They had survived many invasions, but the Yelf, more like the southern front, which had saw the weakness the Central Powers had. At this point, were going to attack. The Kiwi military junta had 55 soldiers. The U had 39 soldiers. They had 94 soldiers, which was the largest anyone could have seen. In accordance to the clan systems, the House of Saul, the House of the Imperium was gone long. The Barois of the Keith and the Stereozoid. The Western Imperial family and the insurgency. The insurgency house was massive, but for the Goisha was the imperial was the Federation. It was the palace, and for the KV military junta, it was something else. And Madre Polina, it was the council, which was similar to the palace. But do we even care? No. The entire, what the, I don't know what was this line, I forgot. Yes, the key, not the key, the key. Were now the house of the Romanovs. The Baivoks were the northern frontier. I don't think you should see the family namings. Looks like the Solians were losing ground. Most of their population was already slain. 200 losses to be exact. As the whole population was fighting for Saul's freedom. Saul the second was dead. The ground shook in fear. The oof! Something great has happened. The Southern War had begun. The rebel junta, which was forced to join the Entente Allies because we had to protect the damn island. Who could have guessed? The Solians we did not have much better equipment, but the enemy was fighting had bows, arrows, and all such things, while being in alliance. And we were not that smart either. We had the brain of a goldfish. The Keydons were even not better either, but they had better things than us. The rebel junta was the one who was better at economic tradings. As the junta, wait, I forgot to look at the religions. The plan was not doing good. The Jaiswan, more like the imperialists, more like the socialism. The socialist ideals were so smart, in fact. The Wai Kwang were put to shame. The Kohlrab and the Fudab were put to shame as well. The Westuab and the liberals. The liberals were not that much, but the colonialisms were. The Toidlab, with being the largest populous sector of this land. The small population which was being extinct was the Aweb, which had one brain cells only. 1.5 at Theobab, the junta had one brain cell as well. Well, let's see. Nobody had that much brains at this point. The plan was not looking good for us. Looks like the Sol lower is increasing. But do we actually even care at this point to know? The Solians increased their conscription, more like increasing more families added to the battle chops. The southern naval invasion was planning. And the Kedans were planning to end the Great War. They were trying to break our trust by not fighting with us. They know the island is in danger and they want to back out. We will not let that happen. These traitors will be shown a lesson which they will never forget. But we saw opportunity. The Saulian armies landed in the largest populated area of the earth, with some legions here and the most of the northern legions were marching south to aid the Saulian armies which were just facing badly. The Saulians had to change their color as governments changed. We became a bit blue. These were the Alban armies which were marching upon us. The junta, the medieval junta had no armies in fact. The whole family of Sauls marched in south. We will fight for the freedom of our lands. And something unexpected was happening. As we saw, the rebel junta now being were exhausted, trying to leave the battle, making us face this battle alone. They were literally worthless. Could not be trusted. They led our nation to such weakness. We will not forgive them once the battle is over and the civil war in our favor. How preposterous of them! The southern front was already collapsing. Literally, the Southern Liberation Front was not even holding its own. The U were destroyed and we could march into their territories like it was butter. We managed to take down their capital. How good was it? Can you tell me? This sweeping offensive shook the Entente. But peace talks were beginning, and we decided best it was to let alone the war. Finally, the Great War ended, but the Battle of the Southern Capitulation was still ongoing. The Saulians and the KMJ were still fighting. The Entente was back at their homes. The Southern War was quietly in our favor as we could outproduce the Southerners. The junta was being destroyed. You know what? I will just do something real quick so that we at least get kicked out of the island. I don't want to, but we have to. And we are back. The U managed to reach 110 people. And we were losing men left, right, and center. The U was suffering more losses than us. The KMJ was landing in our ports and lands. There we managed to destroy many invasions, but well, it was all going pretty well. The U managed to secure our territory. The captured village area was shortly lived. Isaka was fine. Solin forces started to land at Dardan. Gadran. The battle was bloody as no side was coming on top and no side was coming on the bottom. And the huge noise from the sky had landed across, which destroyed the Imperial Federation's lands. The Dran was in conflict. The Slovask or the insurgency was in combat. But everybody knew what was going to happen. A massive invasion was going to happen. A massive invasion that the world will fear. The day arrived where Solian and the Commonwealth armies marched into the KMJ lands itself, landing and causing havoc among the citizens. As the people lost faith in the KMJ, there was something going to happen in the new islands. Their was fighting against the bishop, as this nation had no real army. Even though while they were island brothers, the KMJ took advantage of the situation and landed its army. But we were fast enough to react. The Uv managed to retake the lands, which made Uv the great nation, but oh god, they were struck by lightning from God itself. But hey, look at this! The Imperial Federation, more like the Entente, was joining the Battle of the Southern Front. And look, the Entente exists. But if you see, at this point, the Entente was not joining the battles. As key, Albert did not wanted to join the battle yet. But then suddenly, this brother changed his mind. He was declaring war against to himself. Oh god damn it, a screaming roar destroyed the Imperial Federation's war. Oh god, they were entering Novosibirsk. Oh great. The Kiwi junta was in shambles. The U were only protecting them. And oh no, Bucket Land was going to die. Citizens of all across the coalitions arrived for a one decisive battle over here at, at Novosibirsk. Saulia prepared for a military invasion. Everybody did not want a war. The U was technically the leader of the juntas. As finally world peace was achieved, the Southern War, which had begun, caused destruction. As the Great League wanted to join the front, which had terribly lost the battle technically. This was shocking news, in fact. Saudia was hit by a meteor strike that damaged them. As it was year. Wait, what is it here? Year 79. 51 minutes into the video, the Sol lore was pretty deep, with the Greek League joining the Southern Liberation Front. This pact was renamed to the Liberators, with nobody as its head but the Oilers. But in terms of experience, the KMJ and the EU had the most experience after all. The Entente was going to start. The Kiwi military junta had not been recovering as fast as they were, as it had lost complete resources. But lo, as hope shined upon them, they were given a patch of land by God Himself, because God was thinking like, hey, the KMJ was suffering already, why not just give them a bit more land? And so increased the KMJ. I don't want to watch a short video. The ground shook. The Imperial Federation was suffering a lot. The KMJ started to increase. But hey, look, we see opportunity. The rebel junta was going to be destroyed, one who helped them a lot. But where were the armies of the rebel junta? Well, they did not have an official army. And also, the Kili military junta was planning a war against us as the liberators, outproduced the Central Powers and the Entente. Let's get to the Entente real quick. After their horrendous defeat, after their stalemate, the Solians had never learned their thing, that they should not spend the millions of people. But they did. Just look at the casualties, 2,000 deaths already, even though the world was 2,000 population away. Let's see what happens, shall we? As the world attains to stress, the Kedans and Solian armies entered the Junta city. Holy Kid was given the city. The King Sitrophic was dead. The Kili military junta landing. Uligs, the Entente was also planning a war against us. We were looking in a situation and we needed help, very much of a help. As the Ulig armies were similar to us, we had no real army to protect ourselves with. But we forced the Entente. The Entente was disabled, and the Imperial Federation declared war on their old allies, who had a better army than theirs. But let's say the Imperial Federation was an icy nation, and the Western armies were encroaching on their positions. Saulian armies had to fight alone. Novosibirsk was lost, and we were collapsing day by day. Our infantry weakened. The Entente was destroyed, and our culture may be gone. So we issued Plan Number 888, where we increased the population of our empire to such drastic levels. As you can see, the clash of terror. Now, this was a great coalition after all. The world was against them. What will they do? The Alban armies quickly marched north, but the Imperial Federation launched its army south. While Saulia was in terror, a rebellion will soon occur. The TMJ losing support. A narrow rose up. We tried to fight the enemies. We fought and fought. We had no real army to protect ourselves. Only the Kedans were the heavens worth of sacrifice. This was really good, okay? We were fighting a bloody war which we could not win. Solia had retaken some lands by a naval invasion, but oof, and the KMJ was still alive. The Great Ulik was also losing its army, as most of its boys were called home to defend against the Alban army. As Solia and the world saw 3,000 dead, as everyone tore each other apart. The Solian armies tried to reform themselves and attack, it failed. Solia had died, its empire lost, Bucketland falling to the KMJ. The plan was not falling. The plan was not working. The plan was failing. We will try to attack them. Oof was destroyed thanks to the help of the Allies. The KMJ and the Entente, prior Entente armies were marching. There were no Saulian armies to fight. The Kedans, the Keith, more like the northern, northern Solis land, had Swisco, the old junta cities, which was the greatest city of here, was all reduced to rebels. Near Ulster, rebel Bucketland was reduced of its people as well, as Novosibirsk remained the basque of hope for the rush for the imperial armies. As the year 100 will tick, as Saarland will face the dire consequence, as everyone was destroyed. The Central Powers, the Liberators, and these forming the Imperial Federation and the Elbe knew they had to create the alliance. Again, the Ulik were just unaffected. The ground shook. Nothing else happening. Saulia, having two cities, had the largest population with its African colonies. The KMJ, the Central Powers increased as the two sides of the world came together to fight. Slivisko, oh, I don't want to buy premium. This land alone could handle 44 men. Shannon was even the great empires, which had the capacity to raise cities, could not even house many people inside of them. Take example Avasaka, who could handle 46 people, had 10 appointments. Out of the 56, there were 9. The 7 times population was defeated. This showed how the capacity of the warriors. Pharaoh was planning against the KMJ, as Saulia was incapable of doing anything after the gruesome defeat. The Northern Solis administration, along with the Saulian allies of the Southern Front, at the Entente. The world will be erupted into another horrific war. The second Wealth Creek. The battle plans are simple. The Bakeri Birla army will try to march from the south. While Elba tried to naval invade Shannon and the north. The Imperial Federations will also aid the armies of the Southeast African frontier. Now let's see what will happen. New Ulster was captured. The NSA will cause most of the empire to collapse. But most of the cities they captured were full of destruction. As the world was owned by the Central Powers, it saw the growth of influx between these nations. But we don't know how long it will last because the whole schism because everything which we have seen so far, the Central Powers was the largest area in the group which I'd ever seen. It suffered droughts and droughts, but the Central Powers remained strong. Just look at this. The Elbas are planning to dissolve. Looks like the Albans were getting greedy for land. The Northern Shannon Islands. Shannon was on the Earth of Moon, which was the last. The Kiwi military junta. But the leader of Saulia, the Central Powers was destroyed. Last holdout of the KMJ, the world splitted as the reunification of Solia will begin. KMJ armies will fight for the dominance of the island of Sukhoi. The Southern African front will see many combat as well. The KMJ front immediately surrendered. The NSA will be destroyed. It has been clear that the world will lost in chaos. The solid administration, the Northern Sukai. We were lost from the homelands of the North, but we were united by the people. The North saw its lands, saw the holdout of the KMJ was also a thing. A new alliance was formed, the second entente, between the two nations. But as tensions seemed to be ending, Northern Sukhoi, which was the Northern Salt Confederation before, that was into war again. You can see the world population was here. We had lost 4,000 men. Other deaths was also 4,000. 8,000 people were dead. The war ended, but I think it is good, best for this part. Saulia was overextended. The realm of Saulia was overextended. We should end this somehow, but I think we should do this video some another time because this is taking too long. The lore is very massive. Bye bye.